Hey guys, I'm Nick and welcome back to the channel. Well, today we're talking about the Orville Season 3, Episode 3, entitled Mortality Paradox. Now, this was a bit of a surprising episode because it ended up being a sequel to a previous Orville episode, which I didn't expect at all. It was in fact kind of a sequel to the Season 1 finale episode entitled Mad Idolatry. We saw the Orville crew confront a number of different slightly dangerous circumstances to test their proverbial mettle. I probably enjoyed this episode the most so far out of the first few episodes of the season. There was a little bit more humour in this episode, which I think was great. We still got to tell an interesting science fiction story, which was good as well. I think this episode kind of shows that the balance it is a fine balance, getting it right between the standard dramatic sci-fi stuff and injecting a little bit of a sense of humour from our characters. I'm finding it interesting that because we're getting Orville and Strange New Worlds at the same time, we're getting a little bit of overlap, and it's sort of unusual watching both shows simultaneously because we're getting Strange New Worlds episodes with humour in them, Orville episodes with a little bit less humour in them. We're getting moments in Strange New Worlds, such as with the attack with the Gorn and Pike hiding in the Nebula planet or whatever, and sending out a decoy to trick the Gorn to believe that they've been destroyed. And we've got Mercer doing exactly the same thing in the first episode of the seasons. And this episode, we've got the Orville crew on a planet with weird 20th century kind of environments, with the high school and the plane and so forth, which is kind of similar to what we're getting next week in Strange New Worlds, with the whole kind of fairy tale theme crew as well. So there's a lot of similarities going on, I find, between these two shows. And when you're watching them, you can't help but kind of compare who's doing it better. So the large part of this episode obviously takes place on Naran 1, which is the crew on this desolated planet, which is supposed to be desolate, but is in fact thriving with life. They were walking from the shuttle landing point to the high school that I swear the music that was playing was right out of Raiders of the Lost Ark. This is really reminiscent of Raiders. Gordon gets beat up in the bathroom, which then transitions to the plane environment, which crash lands. Then we go to the Moclan Morgue. We go to the Selayan Lake. We go to the cave. We go back to the Orville fighting the Kaylon. Even though I thought this was a really interesting episode, and I think it had some really good moments of drama and comedy, and it held my interest for the episode, I did probably find that it was a tad too long. And this is, I think, one thing which I'm finding with the Orville this season is that sometimes less is more. Each episode is over an hour long, and I kind of find that the story could be told in a shorter format. I didn't necessarily feel like we needed to go to all of these different environments to get the point across. The high school obviously was where Gordon had his little eye flash thing when he was about to get eaten by the monster. We had the plane crash, which is where Ed Mercer had his little eye flash thinking the plane was going to crash. We had the Moclan Morgue with Border strangling. We've got the cave scenario back on the Orville, where they have the fight with the Kaylon and almost get destroyed. We probably could have removed one of these scenarios and had the episode run under an hour long and still get the point across. I don't think we needed to go to every single one of these because I don't think they added anything extra to the story, because the point of the story was that the race back from that season 1 finale episode that, obviously, that time travels at a different speed, and this particular culture had, progressed 50,000 years since the last time we saw them, and they're now, immortal, and they can't die, and they're obviously wanting to experience the fear of death so that they're experiencing it through our Orville crew members. But rather than traveling to a completely different environment for each different character to have their little moment of near-death experience, you probably could have had more than one character have that experience within that setting. You could have had Gordon and, Mercer or whatever be almost eaten by the monster in the high school scenario, and then Kelly and Kalani or whatever have the incident with the sea monster on the Selayan Lake. Did we need the Moclan Morgue? Did we necessarily need the fight with the Kalon at the end. I think the point could have quite eloquently been gotten across with one or two less locations they went to. That being said, it was fun seeing them in the high school environment. I think the high school environment was probably one of the better ones, where we've got Gordon being beat up in the bathroom. We've got, you know, the catty bitchy girls at the lunch table in the cafeteria. There were some very fun moments, like Kelly punching the stewardess on the plane in the face because she was asking them to return to their seat. I think there's some good moments in the plane scenario as well as the high school scenario, and obviously the big monster on the football field was fun. I thought when they did destroy the holo projector initially, because we've had so many different science fiction stories told in the same way before, I thought the fact that, you know, they thought it had been destroyed and they went back to the ship, I kind of saw that coming quite a distance away. I sort of thought, okay, yes, well, whoever the alien is that's projecting these things, they've just made the fact that it's been destroyed another simulation. I think we've had multiple episodes of Star Trek, and I think we had an episode of Prodigy recently, and where the crew thought something was happening to them, and it was a fiction, and the planet was trying to trick them or something. And I think we had an episode of Enterprise which was similar, that was did exactly the same thing, where whatever the fantasy is that's being projects something to make the crew feel that they've escaped from this particular scenario. I think it's one of those science fiction stories that's been told many times before. So I think from that point of view, I think I sort of saw that coming. But don't get me wrong, it was a perfectly watchable episode and had some exciting, interesting moments and everything. I just think this type of story has been done more than once in different sci-fi series in the past. I like the costume design and makeup design of the character of Danal, the evolved person that was running the holo simulation or whatever for the crew. I thought that was well done. It reminded me a little bit of the old, I don't know whether you guys remember the old series in the 80s called Automan, where it was like a guy out of a computer or something, and he was wearing like a Tron suit. It was very Tron or Automan-esque, I thought, in the design for Danal's character. And again, it was a pleasant surprise at the end of the episode that it would turn out to be a sort of a sequel to, or a follow-up to, the season 1 finale episode, Mad Idolatry. All in all, I enjoyed this episode. I'm I'm adjusting to the new tone of the new season, where I guess the lack of humour isn't bothering me as much now that I'm kind of getting into the groove of it. That being said, I do think that it was maybe a little bit of a misstep airing the Orville at the same time as Strange New Worlds. I think that Hulu and Disney should have probably waited for Strange New Worlds to wrap up before putting Orville on, because running them both at the same time, I think there's a direct kind of competition there between the two. So I'm finding it hard not to compare both shows, with each other, because they're similar in the sense that they're adopting that same kind of storytelling as Next Generation and original series and so forth. And there's a few story beats and everything and everything that are kind of quite comparable between the two shows. So I think Hulu would have probably been best to wait until Strange New Worlds wrapped up its first season and then started Orville, I think. So guys, leave a thought in the comments section. What did you think of this episode? Are you enjoying Orville Season 3? How do you think it compares to the first two seasons? And do you think that there's a little bit of a conflict of interest having it running at the same time as Strange New Worlds? Leave your thoughts in the comment section, guys. Please don't forget to leave a super thanks if you're able to. It really helps the channel out, much appreciated. And don't forget to check out my merch in the merch store. Special once in a lifetime sale this week on Tuesday the 21st, 22% off in the merch store. We can pick up all my sci-fi TV merchandise and stuff. It never gets better than 20%, but there's one day only, 22% off in the merch store, 21st. Be sure to check it out. And I will catch you guys very soon with my next video review. I'll catch you soon.